All right, guys. Well, this is a special lesson here today. This is Learning Lab 93, but this is not like my other Learning Labs. We have some special guests with me today. It's the creators of PyMC Labs. I'm going to introduce them, but this is Thomas, and we've got Alex. You want to wave to the guys? All right, all right, all right. And we're going to be covering marketing mix modeling. This is Learning Lab number 93. We will have time to answer questions at the end of the call today. But also my guests are available. If you have any technical questions while we are going through the code today, you can ask them and you'll get real-time answers. It's pretty awesome. So just a couple quick ground rules before we get started. Make sure your chat's open, switch over to everyone. I'm going to be asking questions, and that's how I get feedback. The second thing, we're going to handle all questions at the end of the call. I have about 30 minutes reserved where I will be able to answer any questions that you have. Plan for at least probably 60 minutes or so today. We have a lot of content, plus I have my special guests, so we're going to learn about them. So this thing's going to be jam-packed. Fourth thing, make sure you have a pen and paper handy. Take notes. And then the fifth thing, if you've got, Facebook open or Instagram on your iPhone or whatever, or if you're, surfing the net or whatever, do me a favor for the next 60 minutes, just set that stuff aside and give us your attention. The more attentive you are, the more fired up that we get. So that's the big thing. All right. If that sounds fair, we are ready to get this rolling. Okay. So again, welcome. This is Marketing Mix Modeling, and we are featuring PyMC Marketing. I have my special guests, Thomas and Alex from PyMC Labs here today. This is Learning Lab 93. I am your host, Matt Dancho. Lovely to meet you guys. Goal for today. I like to start off these presentations with a bar, all right? And the bar I want you to hold me to in this presentation to is I'm going to give you a skill that's going to help you grow your career, help you solve business problems, and help you scale your career to $150,000 or more. Does that sound fair to everybody? Let me know in chat. Put a 1 in chat or give me a thumbs up if that sounds good. All right, give me a 1. Okay, I see Brian's in there. He's got the 1. Nice. All right, starting to see some thumbs up. Good. Yeah, we're going to accelerate your career. Quick agenda for today, guys. We're going to talk about why you should listen to us. I will also introduce my friends here, and I'm super excited for you guys to learn a little bit about them. We also have a live code demo. This is incorrect. It's not customer lifetime value. It is marketing mix modeling, and we're going to be focusing on PyMC marketing, the Python package today. Conclusion today. We're going to talk about how this skill that you're going to learn is going to help you scale your career, accelerate it, okay? And then finally, everybody today gets a free gift. If you stick around to the end, and this is a gift for making an investment in your education with us today, you're going to get the ultimate Python cheat sheet. You got to stick around, but here's what it does. It consolidates the entire Python ecosystem of 100,000 Python packages into 100 best. It saves you years of trying to figure out what to focus in on. It breaks learning Python packages down by steps. It's pretty cool. So things like import, transformations, visualizations, machine learning, and it even has special topics now. I just added that. The important thing, though, is when you want to apply these steps to your work, which you're going to have to do all the time, these are the packages that you need. So make sure you stick around to the end of the presentation. I'm not going to hand it out before. I'm not going to hand it out after. All right. Also, this is a learning lab. So everything that we show here today, all the code, all of the software, all of the slides and everything, that goes into a special membership program. I just put the link in the chat. You guys can check that out. It's called Learning Labs Pro. We now have over 90 labs. Actually, this is the 93rd lab. So they're basically 1-hour courses, hundreds of valuable bonuses on intermediate and advanced topics in both Python and R. So you guys can check that out. All right, guys. So why should you listen to us? Well, normally I'd be kind of saying, giving you my background, but today we've got some special guests with me. And we've got Thomas Wiki. Am I pronouncing that right? Is it Wiki?
Wiki is great, yes.
Okay. All right. And then we got Alexander Andorra. So Alex is the principal data scientist and co-founder of PyMC Labs. He also hosts the Learning Bayesian Statistics podcast. And we've got Thomas, who is the CEO at PyMC Labs and also the founder of PyMC Labs. And he's both of these guys are very heavy in developing the software that we're going to talk about today. But real quick, one of the awesome things too that you can learn from these guys today is they are actually the founders of a 25+ person consultancy. that is growing extremely fast, and they specialize in marketing. That's their niche. Also Bayesian, the same topics that we're going to be talking about today, MMM and customer lifetime value. And then also they're very passionate about open source. And that's what I love about these guys. I'm very passionate about open source. And this is one of the things I think can help out the community the most. Is it's a great way to give back. It's a great way to grow your network and help other people. Real quick on that, one thing, I have an action for you guys to all take right now. So this is the package and software that we're going to be talking about today. All right. And this is PyMC Marketing. It's an awesome tool. You're going to see that it focuses on Bayesian marketing and providing a complete toolkit. It covers media mix modeling. It covers customer lifetime value, also buy till you die models. And what I want you to do right now is let's just check this thing out on GitHub. Action for y'all. Can you do me a favor and click the star button? I did it before this lesson, but I want you guys to follow what I'm doing. And I want you guys to help these guys out and help as you know, we're going to be giving you a lot of great information today. And all we want for in favor as a return is if you just click the star here. It means it takes 2 seconds, means a ton. So I appreciate that. It's helping my friends out. With that said, Thomas, you mind if I kick it over to you? I will stop share for the moment. Let me stop share. And do you have a presentation that you would like to share as well?
Yeah, just a couple of intro slides. Hi, everyone. Thanks, Matt, for hosting us. Very excited to be here.
You got it.
Just wanted to be very quickly say why you should care about Bayesian modeling, basically. So why do we care about it? And I wanted to keep this like brief and really to the most important point. And for me is the superpower that you can describe causal relationships between business relevant variables. So probably in other learning labs, you heard about machine learning, gradient boosting, and those are all really great tools. But you have to learn everything from data, right? So if you already know something about your problem, how things might relate to each other, well, you can't really teach that, right, to your random forest. It just has to learn everything from data. So that for me is like the superpower of this approach is you can take all the understanding you have from about your business and pour that into a model, map that into a statistical model that you then fit to data. So here is like an example, just to give you an idea of what that looks like, but you can just do it for whatever industry you're in. So this is fitting because it's we are today talking about marketing analytics. And for example, we might want to really have an accurate model of our marketing funnel, right? So we do all kinds of different things to ultimately drive sales, right? At the bottom here, that's what it's all about. How do we do that? Well, through marketing. So we have what is often called performance marketing spend, like Google Ads, things like that. So those will directly drive sales. The more I spend, the more sales I have. That's a causal relationship that I can specify here. And in statistical terms, it would look like you can specify a little bit more directly, but this is high level view. Other things like the price, right? But also the competition price. And then also we have things that maybe are a little bit more um, latent, like consideration, right? Like customers are considering buying our product, and they do so because there's a certain latent interest in them, and that interest is driven by things like awareness. So, do people even know about my brand? Do they know about this class of products that I'm selling? Right? Is there overall demand for that? So that is where brand marketing, for example, is being used, where you just want to make people aware and not directly drive sales, but allow for that to happen through downstream effects. Is there demand for this? So some of those, for example, I can directly measure. Some of those I have control over, like the ones here and the ones with the arrows. But you can see, like, once we have this box and arrow diagram, we can then use software like PyMC to build a statistical model and then fit that to data. And this is what Matt is going to show. But just like to give you the main thing of like what this allows. And to make it hopefully even more helpful, I put things here on a grid of how you can think of the space of these different tools and how they relate to each other. And there's two axes that I think are relevant here. And one is the interpretability of that approach. So at the very bottom here, we have black box machine learning, right? You just learn some function that like is as predictive as possible, but whether that is actually understandable, oftentimes it is not, right? And we don't care in many problems. That's totally fine. It's not an inherent problem. If we only care about predictiveness, then those algorithms work exceedingly well. But sometimes we really need to learn and understand about our problem, like in marketing analytics, right? Like which marketing channel is the most effective. So that's why there's the causal approach at the bottom here, at the top. And then we have things like orthogonal to that uncertainty quantification, right? Are we actually tracking how certain we are about the results we're getting? If we say like, well, Google has a return on investment if we spend marketing there of like 0.7658092, right? That's a very specific number. And if you do a point estimate, that's exactly the number you're going to get, right? Just like that single number. And it couldn't be one, it couldn't be two. So you want some sense of like, how sure am I in this estimate? And that's where uncertainty quantification comes in. And so in machine learning, oftentimes we get point estimates, there's frequentist statistics, and there's Bayesian statistics. And now, once we have established this thing, we can like map things into this. So scikit-learn, for example, gives me point estimates and has black box machine algorithms for the most part. Then there's conformal prediction, which still is black box machine learning, but it actually allows you to do uncertainty quantification. Stats model is modeling statistical correlations in a frequentist framework. So that's cool. Do-Y is a more recent package from Microsoft. It allows you to do causal estimation, high interpretability, but mostly just still point estimates. And PyMC in the top right here, where you can create these causal DAGs like the one I just showed, and have a Bayesian uncertainty framework. So that's just like the high level overview of how we think about these things and why we think this is like very important for business. And if you have this skill set in your tool belt, it's going to be, well, definitely a very marketable skill set because you can solve problems few others can. So I'm not going to go through into too much detail, but these are just some of the clients we work with. HelloFresh, which is where our marketing mix modeling tour sort of started. And we work a lot with different in marketing analytics, but also biotech. So Bayesian modeling can be used in almost any industry where you have a lot of domain knowledge and maybe uncertainty is very important. So that is usually a pretty good indicator that Bayesian modeling could be a really powerful tool to solve very advanced problems and also just make better decisions. That's really what it's about at the end of the day. So if you want to know more, you can check out PyMCLabs.com. That's the consultancy. So we help companies like what I just showed solve their advanced analytical problems using the open source software PyMC. So you can just go there on GitHub and download it, use it for free. PyMC Marketing is the software that we're going to talk about today, which is built on top of PyMC. So PyMC is a general purpose statistical modeling library. There is, if you want to learn about Bayesian modeling specifically, there's an online course, Intuitive Bayes. And I'm on Twitter and LinkedIn, happy to connect with anyone.
All right, appreciate that. That's a good little background there. All right, so thanks so much for that, Thomas. And it's really nice. Make sure that you guys do yourselves a favor, connect with him on LinkedIn. I think that's a good place to start. Check out the software. I threw some of the links in the chat, so you guys can check those out in your leisure. And we will continue on with the show. So let me make sure you guys can see my screen, right? Give me a thumbs up. You guys all good? I gotta reopen my chat. All right, see some ones, see some thumbs up. Sweet. Okay, good. So a little bit about myself. How many of you guys are new? Are you put a one in chat if you guys are brand new, and put a two in chat if you guys have seen me on a presentation before, because I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on background if you guys are okay. Seeing a good mix. I better give a little background about myself. All right, my name is Matt Dancho, by the way. Nice to meet you guys, by the way, if you're brand new. I founded a company called Business Science. It's given me a lot of pleasures in being able to promote open source software. These are a couple of packages that I've created. Model time for forecasting, time decay. These are on the R end. So if you don't use R, you might not be as familiar with them. But I am actually creating time TK. It's a time series Python package. And it turns out that I've got a bunch of folks helping me out doing it. So this is the people behind PyTime TK. And one of the cool things about these guys, he works he's a senior manager at Heinz Kraft. This is a principal data scientist at Northwestern Mutual, big insurance company. This guy is Samuel. He is, I believe, Instituto Federal. He's a machine learning engineer. Lucas is HubSpot, Plowman, he's a consultant, and Alex is actually a student at Georgia Tech. Common theme between these guys is that they are all elite data scientists. And how did they get there? They're my students. Okay, so that's what brings us here today, guys. I'm actually just shy of training about 20,000 of these folks, and my students are all over the world. This guy, Ryan, he's over in Toronto. This one's in Netherlands, New Jersey. This guy's, well, somewhere in the USA. And the common theme is these data scientists are elite, and they're working at some of the most important companies out there in the world, the Fortune 500 companies on this list. Most of these companies employ my students. Okay. So that's what brings us here today, guys. I'm here to help you grow your career, accelerate it, get you advanced, anything from beginner to advanced. But I mainly help you guys actually apply data science to business problems. And I know that that's a big problem, big challenge for many people. So I want to help you grow your career, whether that's landing your next job, promotion, or career advancement. And we do that with data science education. We need to get you skills, okay? And that's what we're going to talk about today. So who's fired up for Bayesian MMM today? This is an important marketing analytics case study we're going to go through. Give me a thumbs up or a one. Question for y'all. Who here has done media or marketing mix modeling or media mix modeling? Who has done that before? Put a 3 in chat. 3 if you have done MMM before. Okay. All right. Now, put a 0 in chat if you've never done it. And believe me, I was right there with you guys, just a few months back, actually probably last year, I first got it into MMM. Okay, so we can see here, we've got quite a few people who've never done it before, and this is good. It's actually, even if you've never done it before, it's really important because if you're trying to get a job in marketing analytics, it's great. It's a great portfolio project. And if you already have a job in marketing analytics and you want to grow your career, it's a great project for you to demonstrate to your company. So business problem we're going to talk about today. The reason we do MMM is for marketing budget allocation. That's one of the reasons. And Thomas probably has a lot of things that he showed on the graph that it can help with. What we're going to focus here is on ROI. How do we increase sales? How do we make better decisions with our marketing budgets? Okay. So a little bit of background, since we got a bunch of new folks to MMM. I want to get you guys up to speed. All right. So the goal is to increase ROI, or in terms of whenever you're making expenditures on ads, it's often called ROAS, or ROAS, stands for return on ad spend. So the goal is to have a funnel that converts. Okay. So that thing that Thomas showed you with the interest and then attention, and then eventually you get customers that buy things. So that's really what you want to be able to measure. But the idea of a funnel is that you put some money in at the top, which would be your ad spend. And then that could be on things like TV advertising, Facebook ads, Google search, whatever. There's many different forms of advertising. But the idea is that you put some money in and you should get some more money out. In this case, $1 in equals $4 out. And that's the idea. 4 to 1 would be a 400% or a 4x ROAS, return on ad spend. Okay. One of the things that happens in businesses, and there's a couple problems that we should chat about today. One of the problems is that businesses don't often spend optimally. And we're going to see that today in the case study. So marketing budgets, they're not perfect. They put a lot of times companies spend a lot of money on things that just don't work. And this leaves money on the table. So with the help of the PyMC marketing consulting team, we're going to show how to make a company an estimated $1 million per year today. Okay, that's pretty fantastic. It's a nice little project to have in your portfolio. So actually, before I get to this, I did want to, I meant to include one more slide. And actually, I got a question for you, Thomas. So one of the other things too that's going on is cookies are being phased out. So have you had customers that are kind of in this zone of what am I going to do once Google fully phases out third-party cookies and those things? What are you seeing on your end? Is that an actual concern, or is that just kind of not really that big of a deal?
It's a huge concern and is the primary driver of why these marketing mix models are so in favor right now. So yeah, I mean, the fact that you're talking about it and everyone is talking about it is because just all that information that people used to have in terms of like really accurate tracking allowed them to do what is called multi-touch attribution as well. User was on this website, searched here, then went here, and all of that is gone now.
The whole customer journey you're talking about, right?
Yeah, exactly. So the thing that will never go away is the data that you have yourself, which is how much did I spend on Google, right? I mean, that's what I control. So I know that, and how much sales did I do? And that's the only thing that you need for this MMM analysis to know how effective your different channels are.
Right, right. So yeah, so just to kind of reiterate what Thomas is saying, marketing mix modeling is super hot right now because of changes that are going on with Google, and it's what we call the privacy first era. And that means that companies like Google, Apple, and even the government are making requirements to help protect users' data. And one of those things is with cookies. Those are the things that control how well, basically, anytime you hit a website, often you'll get a cookie, and that'll tell all of these platforms that you have touched that website, and maybe even there might be other like things like pixels and whatnot. So tracking is going to become more difficult in the future, not easier. And that's because of some of these policies that are being put into place to protect your data and privacy. Okay. It's a good thing, but for a marketing department, it makes things a lot tougher. Okay. So we already actually hit on these two questions. So I think we can kind of skip why Bayesian, why PyMC marketing, unless Thomas or Alex, if there's anything else that you guys want to add in there before we jump into the code. Anything else you guys want to touch on?
Well, just that the other huge trend is that it's open source. So there's like all these software vendors selling the software for a lot of money. But we believe that the future should be just giving these tools to everyone, and that's why we open source PyMC marketing. You can use it for free, dig into the code, and that is just as important as the death of the cookie. Alex, do you have any?
Yeah, just to tackle a few questions I've seen in the chat that are similar. Basically, people are wondering what's the difference between that and other open source packages like Meta, like Meta's Robin, Google Meridian, Google MMM, etc., or if that's going to be compatible and so on, what you're going to learn today. I would say it's actually even you're going to learn the higher level than just using these packages out of the box, right? So here, what you're going to learn is basically what the model is about, instead of just using the model as a black box and then just, spitting out the results, but not being able to really explain them, which is what you're end up gonna have to do if you're using these just models as black box. So here, I think what we usually also highlight in our work and our courses, and here also what Matt is doing, is making these models open box so that you understand what's going on, and then you can actually not only write the model, but also explain it to people who are not statisticians, not in the data science world, because most of the time what you're going to have to do once you have a model is you're going to have to explain to people how to use it and what are the decisions they can make with it, because otherwise it's just like having a nice car in your garage but not being able to drive it, right? Yeah. So here, like this, what you're going to learn is not, it's not really that it's going to be compatible with Robin or stuff like that. You're going to be able to do the MMM with PyMC marketing, which by the way, if you just Google that, you'll see that PyMC marketing outperforms these other packages most of the time. And a lot of clients who come to us actually have tried those packages, and then they're like, actually, PyMC marketing looks better, so we want to work with you. But what I would encourage you to do, because you're all here to learn apparently, is really try and understand what's going on under the hood, so that then you are really able to work on these models, whatever the package you're using in a way.
Okay. Awesome. Thanks so much, Alex. We got some good stuff. Who's ready for a demo? You guys want to see some code? Put a 1 in chat. Give me a thumbs up. Are you guys ready to do it? All right, let's dive in. I hope you guys don't mind. I put together 500 lines of code for you today. That's like normally, I think a normal learning lab's like 200 lines. So, or like 2.5 times normal learning lab, but it's going to be a lot of fun. Before we dive into it, just do me a favor, envision with me. I'm a big fan of case studies, and I think that's the way that we learn the best. So I want to, not only are we going to demonstrate a business problem today and how to solve that problem with data science and with Bayesian MMM, but I want you to envision that you're actually working as part of PyMC Labs data science team today. And we're working with one of their big clients, HelloFresh, today, and we're going to help them drive some revenue. All right, does that sound good? All right, here's how we're going to do it. So this is the workshop that I prepared for you guys today, the code. And if you do have any questions as we go through, also Thomas and Alex are there to help answer some of your technical questions, so you don't have to wait till the full end of the lesson to get all your Q&A answered. Okay. For my Learning Labs Pro members, this is how the project is set up. There is a few folders in here. I have some bonuses, some data generation bonus for how to generate some of your own marketing data that you can make custom, so that way you can do your analysis projects on it. So you can go through this code here if you want to do that. Also, I have a PyMC quick start, and this is just to help get you up and running with a basic model. If the advanced model, if you want some additional information and insight to get rolling faster than with this advanced analysis that we're going to go through today. The data sets that we're going to use today, the primary one is this DE simulated data. I will explain all about that here in a minute. We're going to make a model. This is the MMM ad spend model that we're going to make through today. In terms of my environment, this is what I'm working with today. I have, as you can see, PyMC and PyMC marketing. We'll also have my PyTime TK package, because we're going to be dealing with some time series data, and a few other common libraries. One also that you'll want to add is GraphViz. This will allow us to visualize the graphically what's going on under the hood with some of the PyMC marketing stuff. And then the rest are kind of the usual suspects, so to speak. So you want to set up an environment that looks like this, and then you should be able to dive into the presentation with me here. Okay. Okay. So this is our business problem today. So basically, HelloFresh is making suboptimal marketing decisions in terms of their ad spend and how they're allocating their budget, and it's costing the company. Okay, so I will explain what that means here in a little bit as we go through this presentation. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to load in all of my libraries here. So what I love about this analysis is we actually don't have a ton of packages that we're going to need to use today. We're going to use pandas and NumPy to do kind of our data analysis and data wrangling. PyTimeTK, which is my time series package. It comes with a few functions I'll show you. I'll kind of point out where those are. We're going to use PyMC marketing, and from that package, we're going to be pulling from the MMM delayed saturated MMM, and we're going to be pulling out this delayed saturated MMM model. Okay. Then there's a few other packages here for mainly for visualization and data handling. RViz is actually one that I'm not super familiar with, so I haven't used that a ton, but I know that some of the data that is provided by the model output is this RViz style of data. So once we get to it, it'll probably make a little bit more sense, and we can maybe talk about what that means here in a second. And other than that, those are pretty much the libraries, Seaborn and Matplotlib for some visualizations. Okay. Okay. It will take a little bit to load. That's two reasons, because Pandas is huge. And then also because I have Zoom running, it slows everything down. Okay. Once this thing, okay. So we got the green check mark. We're good to go. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pull in the data. And this data set is this DE simulated data. This is our marketing data. So I ran this glimpse function, and this comes from PyTimeTK. If you've never seen it before, it's really nice, especially for wider data sets. So this is what our data looks like. We've got a date feature. We've got the revenue, which is our target or our sales feature. And then we have all of this extra data here. So we've got S. So this is TV spend. So S is for spend, and that would be like we're running advertisements on TV, like commercials. OOH, and I have the data definitions here, out of home. So that's like things like billboards that people might see as they're traveling. Print, which would be print media, so newspapers, magazines, those sorts of things. And then if you see Facebook, if you see an I, stands for impression. So that means that an ad was served and somebody saw it. And then there's also at Facebook S, which is a spend. And this is actually how much money the company spent in order to get those impressions. All right. Search, this would be like Google search. So if you ever done a Google search before and you get an ad at the top or a promoted or sponsored website, that's what that is. So there's search clicks P, which is the performance. So that would be your number of clicks, and search S is the amount that you spent on Google search ads to get that performance. Competitor sales, this is an interesting one. This will be for like your baseline. So if you're comparing your sales to another company, I don't think we're actually going to use that though in this lesson. Okay. So now that we understand a little bit more about the data set that we're going to be using, let's do an exploratory data analysis. So this is the next step in my process. I'm just going to make a copy of our data. This next couple of lines here is just going to format these consistently, so it's all lowercase. That's just kind of a pet peeve of mine. I like to have all my column names nice and tidy. And then what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to visualize some of the data. So these lines of code here, I'll just run this. This is some PyTimeTK, because we are dealing with a time series where we have some spend that we're making over time in various channels. And then we have our revenue here. So that's what I'm visualizing here. And this is just a nice quick way to kind of understand what's going on. So we've got some revenue, has some fluctuations, but we can see some spikes here. And those spikes might be related to different marketing spend events and so on. So this is kind of just at a high level, all of our different features in here, along with our target. Okay. Let's see here. Scroll back. Okay. The next thing I want to do is I want to get a handle on this problem. So I like to do a spend and revenue analysis. So I want to understand how much money these companies are spending, what they're getting for that expenditure. So this is taking all of the columns, summing along the kind of like widthwise. So this is their total spend and then summing the total. All right. So right now they're spending, and I don't know if you guys can see this down here, but it's like $68 million. And this is for the full time frame. So 1 year, 2 years, about 4 years. All right. They've spent $68 million on ads. That's kind of a lot of money. So we can get the total revenue and then the total spend. So this is their total revenue. And you can see that that revenue during that time period, they've made about $379,000. Now, one of the things that you can do just quickly is to see if they're, losing money, and it looks artificially high here. So 5.53 is like your revenue to your spend. But the key here is that you're making revenue, not always, like, you can't attribute it always to your like these different spend channels, okay? Because you're making revenue other ways, things like repeat buyers, or like if they've enrolled in like some sort of subscription program, okay? So those are types of things that you just really you need to understand that this is not your true ROAS. You can't just get it this way, okay? Then what I like to do is just kind of like understand on a month-to-month basis, how much is this company spending on ads? Because that's going to be very important when we try to optimize their budget for each month, okay? So this will actually come into play too once we get to the end of the lesson today. So let's first take a look at their median spend, okay? And this is median by each of these different sources. So median spend, I can see this is weird because on a month-to-month level, on average, or the most common value of spend for the TV is 0, and same thing for OOH, print, Facebook. So this probably isn't like a really good way to kind of measure this. And then if you look up here, it's like, yeah, we do have some months where TV is 0, but we can also see there's some other big months. So let's take a look at mean spend. It's the same calculation. We're doing a mean now. All right, so this is giving me a different picture. So now I can see on average, throughout this time period, month to month, I'm spending about $44,000 on search, or my company is. TV, it's actually really high. It's $111,000 a month on commercials. OOH, $81,000 for billboards, print, et cetera. So very interesting. Okay, so now I'm kind of understanding this a little bit more. This is using the describe function and then just kind of formatting it as, we can format it as dollars if we want. If I put a little dollar sign in front here. This is just another kind of way to interpret this information. So, yeah, so this is basically the same data, but all kind of put into a different format. So you can see the median is this 50%, the mean is right here, and now we're starting to get kind of an understanding of how this company is spending their money on ads. All right. So I have a couple of questions at this point. Is this the most profitable based on the contribution of each channel? So meaning, okay, on average, month to month, if this company is spending $111,000 on TV spend, OOH 81,000, is this the best way to spend their money? And are you getting a return on ad spend from each of these different channels? And you want a return on ad spend to be above 1, right? So we're going to tackle this question by building a marketing mix model. And this is going to be really powerful because then what we're going to see is at the end what our estimated return on ad spend is, and we're going to be able to make decisions better, and it's going to help improve the financial results of the company. Okay. So in order to get there, we have to do some feature engineering. So we're in section 2 now. We're going to do a little feature engineering. All I'm doing here is I'm adding a few extra features that may contribute to the model, its ability to explain what's going on with the revenue. Okay. So we know that there could be repeat purchases and there could be some sort of trend cycles that just, we saw that up here that just continue to happen. Like it tends to be lower in the summertime and higher around November-ish for some reason. But this is probably not, that's more probably related to how the company operates and the cyclical nature of it rather than, the ad spend. So we want to include some features related to the time series. So we're going to put year, month, and then the day of the year in here. And then we're going to create a little trend feature as well, which is actually just the index. I just used the index of the data frame. So here's what our data frame looks like now. So let's take a look at this. So we've got date here, revenue, and then these are the advertisements the spend and such. And then we've got year, month, day of year, and trend. So these are the time series components, okay? So this is what our data looks like at this point. And you can see it's just month to month, the revenue each month, all right? Okay, so now I'm going to subset the data on the features that I want to understand a little bit more, okay? So I'm just taking the date feature, the revenue. So date is the time series, revenue is my target, and then we've got features like TV spend, all of our different advertising, and then some other features that we think are going to be influential in the in explaining the trends that are going on. All right. Okay, so once we have that, our data set looks like this, and we've now kind of subset it with just the columns we want to focus in on. All right, so now we're going to get to the good stuff. So we want to develop a model, and we're going to use this Bayesian model. But I actually have, I'll throw this in the chat for you guys. So I threw in a reference here, but what we're going to be doing is creating this delayed saturated MMM model. And what that's going to do is it's going to actually handle a lot of the hard work for us. So we don't have to go through the tedious process of doing like all of this, the feature scaling, because you can see some of these features like revenue are really high. Some of these other features are really low, like trend, 0, 1, 2, 3, et cetera. So it's going to handle a lot of the pre-processing internally. It's also going to make it more interpretable for us and just get us results faster. Internally, it uses the max absolute scalar transformer from scikit-learn. And one thing, though, that I want to point out is if we do want to give it some priors, because we have some business knowledge that we want to integrate, you have to first scale it to the scale it. So I'll show you what that means here in a second. So we got the data set here that we're going to be analyzing, all right? And the first thing that we might want to try and do is create priors from business knowledge. And one of the ways that are explained to do it is to actually calculate the total spend per channel, which is here. And then what we can do is create a spend proportion. And then this is the spend proportion. So the proportion of sales that are spent on a month-to-month basis. And then what we can do is create what's called a half normal scale and then scale those values. So again, the reason we do that is because internally the package is going to, we can't just give it the proportions. We need to scale those proportions to be in this format. So it'll be 2.8, 2.0, 1, all the way down to 1.11. Okay. So now we have some priors, and this is business knowledge that we can kind of integrate into the system because we know we want to give it maybe a starting point. Okay. The next thing that we're going to do, and this is very familiar, like if you've used scikit-learn before, this is kind of how scikit-learn works. We just take a lowercase y, that's going to be our revenue, and then X is going to be all of the other columns in the data set. So Y is revenue. You can see that here. And then X is our basically all of the other features. So you do need to have a date column. And I saw one of the questions, is it better to work with daily or weekly data? I'll leave that one to Thomas and Alex to see what they say. Daily data might be a little challenging, but weekly is certainly possible. I think the demo was on weekly data.
Most people use weekly data. Yeah, it's a bit easier to manage, and you don't need that granularity usually.
Gotcha. Perfect. Okay. So the next thing that we can do is we can create just a dummy model. And you see I'm just filling out the date column, the channel columns and everything. The reason I want to do this is I want to show you when we create that dummy model, we can use this default model config. So you can see and actually use this as your model configuration. So it's got all of these different parameters here that you can provide an update. And this gives you a lot of flexibility to customize, but from what I saw, it seems like the defaults are also pretty good. So you may not even need to customize it that much. Okay. This is how you would customize it though. So for example, this section here. So I actually did just use the defaults because I kind of wanted to see what the defaults gave me. But in the so if you want to customize, whoops, sorry, hit the wrong button. Terminate that. Okay, so if I uncomment these, this is an example of how you could customize the priors using the prior sigma that I had created previously using a log normal. So again, I just went with the defaults of the beta channel, which is just a half normal distribution. But you can actually customize any of these things. All right, and that's how you would customize it. So let me just shift and enter. And these will be my custom. This is my model config. So these are a custom configuration. And then you can also customize the sampling configuration. So I actually went through and I ran it with one core, which isn't probably recommended. But this is, normally when you do Bayesian, you want to use as many cores as possible because it does take a little bit of time. All right, to run it. So, but I want to show you an example of how you can customize the sampler configuration. All right. So shift and enter. So I've now got my own custom configuration here. And then this is how you would customize that delayed saturated MMM model. Okay. Couple of key points here. So you do have to specify your date column. You specify your channel columns. So these are all the expenditures. And then any control columns you could add in here. So things like the trend, year, month, any external regressors or exogenous regressors to your time series. It's also adding an add stock max lag. Thomas, can you briefly explain what does add stock max lag do? And just what is that?
Right. So there's all these different effects that we want to model. And so naively, you might go into this and you think, well, I have spend data, I have sales, that's just a linear regression, right? So why don't I just do that? And you could, and people have been doing that. However, there's all kinds of complexities that we know about. And this is what I said in the beginning, right? So we have domain knowledge about the problem domain that we're working with. So one of the things we know is the more money we spend on a channel, it's not that just the number of sales I'm getting linearly increases. There's
Correct.
a saturation effect.
Yep.
So that is something that I want to put into my model, and then, well, where that saturation happens, I want to estimate from the data. So these are parameters underlying that, and then there are other effects as well, like delay effect. So I have increased my marketing on day one, and that will have an effect on the next day, and then a lower effect on the day after, and sort of have a leading over decay effect, and that's the at stock delay.
Gotcha. Perfect. Okay, so there's a little bit about kind of what is happening behind the scenes. So this model is doing a lot of work for us, and it's making it easier for us to get to this point without having to do like lots of statistical transformations or figure out which features we need to add. We can control that right here. Okay, so this is my configuration MMM model. So this is the configuration I'm using. I think it actually probably matches the default configuration pretty closely. And then next, what we'll do is move into model fitting. So I would run this, but like most, big, like when you do Bayesian models, you're not gonna, it's gonna take a little bit of time to run. So I'm not gonna put you through that. But what I do want to show you is that you can, so if you go into production, normally what you're gonna do is you're gonna then take that model that you've made and you're going to store it somewhere. So this is how you would store that. So you run this, it takes, if I use all 6 of my cores, it might take 4 or 5 minutes to run. And then I save it somewhere and then I can load it back in. So that's what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to load the model that I ran before this lab back in so we can check that out and start inspecting some of the internal mechanics and see some cool visualizations to give us some diagnostics as to whether or not this thing's working and as to what information we can glean from it. Okay, so I've just pulled in that model, and that model is actually stored right here, guys, in case you're wondering. So that's this MMM ad spend model. This quick start model actually refers to the bonus that that comes out of this analysis here. Okay. So we're pulling in that model. The first thing is we get this AR viz object. If you look at this if you do .I data, and this is so Thomas, can you explain what this is? It's pretty cool. You can kind of drill into it, and it looks like it just comes with a bunch of information about that model.
Right. So that is essentially everything we need to recreate the model when you want to load it later for deployment, for example. And one of the big things we need is the estimated parameters, right? So that step where you set what we want to fit the model. Because we're in a Bayesian framework, we don't just get a single parameter estimate, like if you fit a random forest, or like let's say just a linear regression and without any Bayesian or frequentist thing, it will just give you a single coefficient value. Here we get many different ones to get a sense of the uncertainty. So that will allow us to then see how sure we are in our estimates. And that is what is stored in this inference data that comes from the RBIT library, and you can see here. And then there's also a bunch of meta information about the model, like how many seasonality components did you use? And that's all just to be able to then reload the model, reload the parameters, and then do prediction or optimization and things like that.
Yeah, and one thing too I wanted to point out is if you see, so very common when you do Bayesian is there's chains and then draws from those chains. So you're going to do like 0 or 1. So that's 2 chains that we ran, and you'll see that later on when I do the analysis, when we do kind of understand what the distribution is. But these draws that you're pulling, it's calculating different values each time, and then it'll make basically a histogram. So it's really cool, really powerful stuff, especially for quantifying uncertainty, which is really important for doing these types of analyses. Okay, so let's inspect the model then. The first thing I'm going to do here, I'm just going to kind of go through some of the different visualizations that come with the PyMC marketing library. So this first one is called plot components contributions. And what it has is for each of these components, it has the contribution of each of these. Okay. The next one is another visualization you might want to check out is what the graph viz library. This is it's a very big plot here. I want to see if I can open this over here. Maybe we can zoom around it. So here, let me zoom out of it here a second. No, it's not going to let me. Okay, there it goes. Okay, good. Now give me my little hand tool again. So this is basically the inner workings of that model. All right, so we just set up that in just really one line of code, that delayed MMM, saturated MMM model. And this is kind of under the hood what it's doing. And it's doing all this work for us. It's giving you essentially a full Bayesian model for this time series that is going to apply all of these different kind of defaults to it that we ran through. Or if you customize it, you're going to affect how which parameters are used, where they're used, and so on. So it's very cool. It's kind of basically your explainability, right, Thomas? Is that you know?
Yeah, exactly. So, and again, relating to what I said in the beginning with this box and arrow diagram, how do my different variables relate to each other? And that's what we see here, even though it's not quite as nicely labeled as I did, but it is the same thing at the end of the day. So you see we have the target data at the bottom, where that would be our sales data. And then we have these different parameters, like at the very top, the beta channel, the alpha, the lambda, that configures the channel effectiveness. And you can see that's like surrounded by like a plate, channel 5. So that's also the top thing. So we have 5 channels that we want to estimate. So there's a different alpha for each one of them. And yeah, so connects all these things together. Of course, it looks quite complex, but the model is sort of the complex. But yeah, you can inquire it, you can explain it, understand it. And also this is the power of PyMC marketing, is you could write this model in PyMC by hand, but already here you see that that would be quite complex,
That's
right?
going to be a
So
lot of
each
code,
of
I would
those,
imagine.
yeah, each of those would be like its individual like line of code, and you need to connect it all together. So with PyMC marketing, we did all that for you, so that yeah, you just write that
Yeah.
delayed saturated MMM, and then you get that.
Yeah, and you can see here it's building Fourier features. It's building, it has all sorts of different stuff in here that, again, it would just take a lot of code. So it's abstracting away some of the common things that you're going to want to do. All right. And that's good because then you're implementing by default the industry best practices, right? So that's what the graph viz thing does. Let's take a look at our contribution curves. That's the next one. Let's see what that looks like here. Okay, so these are our contribution curves, and I'm going to come back to this a little bit later. So let's kind of like set that aside. And then another thing that you can do is you can plot the channel contributions. So this is like a visualization where you can see like some of the uncertainty as well. It does take a second to run because it's actually doing some of that uncertainty calculation, which is, I imagine there's probably some loops involved. So hopefully that'll
And
show.
that plot that is showing now also nicely shows that saturation effect that I was talking about. So
Yep.
on the x-axis we have the, oh yeah, and this is perfect, yeah.
This
So
this
on
is
the
yeah,
x-axis we
this
have
is
how
really
much we
cool
spent.
too.
Yeah, and then yeah, you see that it's not just linearly increasing, but actually like slowly tapering off. Just because yeah, if you just like keep showing people more ads, they're not necessarily gonna want to buy more stuff.
Yeah, eventually, yeah, you get less quality leads, you get, that sort of thing. And I've seen this played out with my own company, Business Science, because we do run some Facebook ads. We don't do a whole lot of that, but we do see that we can't just spend, $100,000 a month and expect to get like a 2x ROAS. Doesn't work that way. There's a certain limit, and the crazy thing is, week to week, if we do it, that changes, that ROAS number changes week to week. It's not always the same. So this is great. This is really quantifying that uncertainty. Okay. And we can actually start to make some business decisions probably based off of this, but I want to go one step further and actually analyze the return on ad spend. So what we're going to do here is we're going to calculate the estimated ROAS basically by channel. Okay. So I'm just going to run some of this here and I'll explain what it's doing here in a second once we visualize it. Okay. So let's do this. Okay. So these are the distributions. It's a little tough to see here. See if I can zoom in on it a little bit. But what we can see is the effectiveness basically of each of these different channels. Okay. And this factors in all of the other time series components and basically takes out, takes that effect away and then says, okay, when I use this particular channel, how much contribution does it truly give us towards that revenue, right? And we can very easily see here that the best one by far is the search S, because you can see your ROAS is at the bottom. And you can see, even though that distribution is pretty wide, you can see it maximizes right around here, around the 2x ROAS. Conversely, we can see some of the worst performers is this OOH here, which is, I don't have the actual like median or mean number, but you can see here that it peaks out right here, which is closer to 0 than it is to 2. So that's not good. That means you're losing money when you spend money on the out of home. So if you're running billboards, you need to turn those off. Okay. But we got to take this one step further. So I'm going to convert that ROAS samples, which was that RViz object. I'm going to convert it to a data frame. And this is where you see that the chains and the draws and those start to come into play, because again, we just ran this Bayesian analysis, and it's not just a single metric that it returns. It returns all of the measurements throughout that analysis. Okay. So what we can do is we can actually group it by channel and just take an average. And I can see here, Facebook's about breaking even on average. out of home is 0.31. So if you look back at this chart, that's what that out of home, it was peaking right around zero, probably around 0.31-ish. Print, same thing. This is 1. So you're actually doing all right, but search by far 2.83 ROAS on average. That's clearly the winner. But we can't just say, hey, sock all my money into that, because again, there's some other issues that we're going to run into. So if we take this another step further, we have to do what's called a budget allocation. And this is an optimization problem. Yep.
Matt, can I just say like one cool thing for this
Yep.
one? So what we can really see nicely here is the uncertainty in our estimates, right? So we don't just get a single number, we get like many numbers. And
I forgot to run that.
what is
I did a describe on it too, and you can actually see
yeah.
basically like
Exactly, yeah. So you get like error bars essentially. And what that allows you to do then is to basically just like get probabilistic answers to your questions for free. So here Matt is showing the mean, right, which is useful for like getting
2.83.
that. But maybe you also want to know like what is the probability that this channel is better than break even, right? And then you just count how many samples are larger than my break even point, and that might tell you 90%. And that's like a really strong statistical number that communicates the uncertainty you have and is like something that you can like take to a stakeholder, right? And like say, well, should we have this channel be on or off? Well, yeah, how much risk are you willing to take? Because it's estimated limited data, which means maybe even though it looks great, like the mean is really high, there's still a lot of risk that we could be wrong about this. And you do want to quantify that and communicate that.
Beautiful. Yeah, that's exactly right. I forgot to run that line. That's actually important because that was the next thing that I was thinking too, is that we get the distribution. And you can see right here clearly 2.83 is our average, but you know, a 95 percentile is going to be between 0.27 and 7.46. So if break even is 1.0, you can see that there is a little bit of chance that it's going to go below. But on average, you're going to probably be around here. Your median's 2.4. So you're going to be, it looks like you're probably going to be making money most of the time. And again, like Thomas said, you can actually count everything above all the chains the draws that were above 1.0, and that's your actual probability. Very good. Okay, so let's take this a step further though. Let's actually give our company some estimates of how much we can make them by tweaking some things, because at the end of the day, we want to make better business decisions. All right. So here's some of the issues that they're running into that they may know or they may not know that you need to bring to light. So some channels perform better than others. We clearly saw that up here. But there's also a decay in performance, and we talked a little bit about this. So that means we can't just pick a channel that's performing best and then throw millions and millions of dollars at it every month. That's not going to be optimal either. You may end up actually losing money that way. And that's what we want to show in this next part. Okay. So we're going to do this next analysis, which is analyzing what are called the response curves. So if we remember this visualization here, what we did was we showed you kind of what the response was as you increase the spend in particular channels. Okay. But what you can do is you can actually fit that. And there's two different methods that PyMC incorporates. One's called sigmoid and one's called Michaelis-Menten. Okay. So sigmoid's the default. And this is kind of what that looks like. I don't know, why did that do that? Let's see. Oh, I need to do loaded MMM. Try that. There we go. Okay. So yeah, I had to give it the fitted model. So now we can see that there's a fit and there's also a distribution or an uncertainty around each of those fits. Okay. And then the same thing with this is just a different method, I believe, to calculate it out. And whoops, let's do shift and enter. This is the Michaelis-Menten method. Okay. And there we go. So we've got some different fits. So I'm going to actually focus in on the sigmoid, just to focus in. I encourage you guys to explore the other method, but just for the sake of time, what we can do is we can actually get the parameters. Again, this should be loaded MMM, loaded MMM. Try that one more time. And what this does is for each of the different channels, it gives us the parameters that we need to recreate the fit of that curve. Okay. So then what we can do is we can take it to the next step, which is the budget allocation. So the step one inside of budget allocation is we're going to specify the total budget parameters. Okay. And we're going to use this to recreate calculate the optimal budget allocation. So what PyMC comes with is this optimized channel budget for maximum contribution. So once we have that parameter, bada bing, bada boom, we can run this function and it tells us the optimal budget. So if we spent total budget of $500,000 each month, okay, well, we'll just go with that for right now. We're going to distribute that $500,000 here in this optimal budget, and it's going to assign different values, and it's going to basically say, okay, you're going to make $600,000 if you have a $500,000 budget. Okay. It's not the best return on ad spend, but we are above breaking even. Okay. And it tells you this is the optimal allocation at that point. All right. And you can see some of these allocations are, even though Facebook is worse than search, because of that decay effect, it's not assigning all of the money towards search. It's assigning some money towards Facebook because at a certain point, the effectiveness of search spend goes down, it decays, and the Facebook is at a certain point going to be more profitable to put ads into Facebook. All right. Okay. So let's take it one step further. What I want to do is I see this total down here and I actually want to pick a bunch of different budgets and I want to see which budget is the best to go with, which dollar value is going to maximize. So if I subtract these two, this is your return and this is your investment. Okay. So this is your ad spend and this is your return. So if I subtract these two columns, I would get my profit, right? I want to know which value maximizes my profit. Okay. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm just going to run a loop where we're going to go through and vary the value of my monthly spending budget from 10,000 all the way up to 1,000,000 20 times. And what I'm going to do is calculate the profit. Okay. And this is where things get a little interesting. This channel profit, remember, is just these two subtracted against each other. So if I spend $10,000 a month, I'm projected to make $18,000 in profit. All right. If I spend $62,000, I'm projected to make $106,000. And then you can see things start to get a little different. 159, 173, that's going up, and then it starts to go down. And this is what's interesting. So $166,000 is actually my optimal monthly spend budget according to this model. All right. So let's visualize this. What's nice to do. I'm a big fan of like visually looking at this channel profit, and I can see exactly what's happening as I increase my optimal budget. What I'm doing is I'm showing that, okay, as I increase from 0 to 1, and this is on 1 to E6, so this would be $1 million over here, and this would be $0. So right around 170,000 is where this thing's topping out. That's where my profit maximizes. Okay. So I can actually get that value right here, and I can see, okay, if I spend $166,317, that's going to maximize my channel profit. Okay. So next, what I want to do is I want to just basically redo what I did up here and just rerun it for 166,000 because I know that that's the best. And if I just rerun all of this stuff here, then I just report the optimal budget, and I can see for my optimal budget, this is what it's telling me to spend. Okay. It's telling me don't spend any money on TV, OOH, print, or Facebook. Spend $166,000 on search ads, and you're estimated to return $339,000 for a $173,000 profit. Okay. Okay. All right. So the next thing is what we can do is we can compare it to what is actually happened on a month to month. So if you remember at the beginning of this analysis, we said, all right, guys, this is how much on average I'm spending. 111,000 here, 81,000 here, 27,000 here, 64,000 and 44,000. So right here, what this is telling me is there's a big difference between what our actual spend is on a month-to-month basis and what the optimization should be. So let's just do some quick hand calculations. So if I'm estimating $173,000 per month at 166,000 ad spend, that's $2 million a year. And if I take that 339,000, which is this number here, and divide it by the optimal budget, I can see that's roughly a 2.04x return on ad spend. Now, this isn't exactly your return on ad spend will probably go up if you go down here, if you reduce the ad spend. So, but let's just say it's equal. So say we're bringing in $90,000 in profit by spending 44,000. Okay. We can see here, we're leaving on a month-to-month basis about $82,000 on the table. And that doesn't even include what we might be losing by spending money on some of these other channels that are just breaking even or worse, have a negative return on ad spend. Okay. So at a minimum though, if we just, even don't include the money that we're losing, we're going to make that company in a year, $992,000 estimated. Okay. So there it is. That is the number that you want to report to management and say, hey, if we do some of these things, you're more likely to improve the business, and we should see significant improvements based on what we're seeing. Okay. All right, guys. That is the demo for today. Thomas and Alex, I'm going to go through the guys, go through with them some conclusions. You're more than welcome to stick around, but some of the stuff that I'm going to go through with my data science process might not be as informative to you. So you can feel free to hop off now at this point.
I'm sure I would learn a lot. But yes, unfortunately, I have to go. But thanks so much for having me. This was amazing. I'm really impressed, like how in depth that was. So yeah, I hope everyone learned something. Was really interesting. Thanks again for having us.
And thanks a lot for helping us out with this training. I know, especially Bayesian gets very, very. It's tough to explain it, and nothing better than having the guys that are building the software on the call. So I really appreciate it. Everyone, give Thomas and Alex a hand, please. All right. So
Thanks everybody. Bye.
I do have some conclusions for everybody, and let's go back to kind of the big picture here. So you accelerating your career. So we know now that you have some tools to do marketing mix models for a company, right? But the key question is that going to help you accelerate your career? And when I say accelerate, I mean, is that going to be the thing that helps you get to $150,000 a year salary or more? So the reality is that's, this is one problem, and it's probably not going to be the thing that totally accelerates your career to that level. But what will help you earn $150,000 per year or more and accelerate your career, get promotions, get that job growth that you guys are seeking, is your data science process. Okay. So, and I mentioned at the beginning, make sure you have a notepad and paper handy. Now's the time to take some notes. All right. So I'm going to give you my data science process. And at this point, what I want to do is kind of tie it into a little bit of what we did, but also show you that you can actually systematize exactly what you're going to do for your future company or to help get you that promotion by applying data science to any business problem. So this is what I do every single time. I start with step one, which is data collection. And we saw that in the beginning where I pulled in some marketing data around that particular problem that we're looking to solve, that time series data. Step two was data exploration. We did see that a lot in this, where we're doing time series visualizations. We're also doing some analyses to understand what the spend was, to understand what the revenue is, and to get some quick estimates, some off-the-cuff calculations of our costs. Step three is then data cleaning. We're going to then prepare data and get it ready for modeling. And then that's step 4, and then step 5 is modeling. Step 6, we didn't see this today, but we do normally do some level of cross-validation. And that is more for like if we're using machine learning algorithms, which are commonly used to solve these problems. And then step 7 is model selection. We're going to pick the best model. And then step 8, which I haven't really talked about, is, and this is the most important step, is this is where the organizations, they gain value when you actually productionalize it and put it into, you know, a web application or an API or something like that. So this is an example of a web application that actually does a different marketing problem. And this is, if you're in marketing analytics, something we commonly do is called lead scoring, where we would upload an email list. We would run some machine learning algorithms to predict their likelihood of buy. We would segment them between whether or not they're hot or cold. The hot ones are ready to buy, so we'd send them sales emails. The cold ones, we would nurture them and give them more valuable emails to help get them excited about the stuff that we're doing, and to increase the interest and move them further from cold to hot. Okay, so the problem is that these types of web applications, probably only about 2% of you on the call can go through that full data science process to solve these business problems on a day-to-day basis. Okay. Now, at the beginning of this presentation, I told you that I would give you, and you would leave here with everything you need to make a $150,000 salary, grow your career, accelerate it, you know, get the additional skills, and really have a huge impact on your companies, right? Now, most of you thought that was the business problem, you know, MMM. And the problem was it wasn't. There's a lot more stuff that you're going to need to learn in order to be able to solve any business problem, because the ones that you're going to have to tackle are going to be different than the ones that you're seeing here today. So you have to have a process. You have to have a way to solve these. So if you would like to be able to dominate data science with Python and get a 6-figure data science career and grow your career, I have a special offer for you. Would you guys like to see it? Let me know in chat. Give me a 1 if you guys want to see what I prepared for you guys today. All right, good. So it starts with this first course that I put together called Python for Data Science Automation. All right, so here's what's inside. Inside of Python for Data Science Automation, you don't need any prerequisites to take this course. You learn how to apply a business sales forecasting process and convert that into what's called a Python automation. This allows you to do things like make reports on demands. It eliminates errors and speeds up production. It's honestly, it actually saved me. This is the same type of process that I use at my old job, and it helped me through automating a lot of my routine tasks to save me about 20 hours per week. It also allowed me to work on other projects at breakneck speeds and run circles around my competitors, which was very important because that's what ultimately led to me going from just kind of like your run-of-the-mill business analyst all the way up to a director of sales and forecasting at my last company. Inside of this course, you start with Python for Data Science Automation. You start with a jumpstart, and inside of the jumpstart, that's where we kind of give you a preview of what's to come, and we also get you set up on the right foot. So you saw I was using VS Code today. I give you a full walkthrough of how to set up VS Code. You also learn how to analyze sales trends. You do a full sales analysis, and that's just in that first part. It takes probably 30 minutes, 45 minutes to get through that sales analysis, and you can kind of see the big picture of where we're going to go. It also gets you familiarity with the data. In the next part, we work on SQL databases. So for that, you're going to learn how to read and write to and from SQL databases. You're going to learn how to make repeatable Python data functions, and you're going to actually create this thing over here, which is your own module. And this stores all of the functions for your particular analysis. Okay. And then in module 3, you move on to connecting to databases and cleaning data. And for that, this is what we call a deep dive. So we deep dive into the Pandas library. We saw how important Pandas is today. It was virtually used in every step of the analysis, from importing the data all the way to doing all the ROAS, return on ad spend calculations. So you're going to do a Pandas deep dive. You're going to learn about objects, classes, and methods, the things that I used to struggle with when I first started learning Pandas. Then you're going to learn how to do the common data analysis techniques like row-wise filtering, column mutations, pivoting data, group and apply function for aggregations. Then you're going to move on to some more, and now we're going to move from data analysis into actually exploring the data and looking for insights. Okay, so for that, in module 4, we have making an exploratory report. You're going to use pandas profiling. It's one of several packages that I use for creating EDA reports very fast. Next, what you're going to learn is in module 5, functional programming, super essential to be able to make reproducible functions, and also time series. This is one of the most important. We saw it today. Time series is very, very important. Virtually all business data has a timestamp attached to it. So you're going to learn how to do things like group resampling, outlier detection, summarizing by time. This is actually a function that compresses about 20 lines of Python code into one line, a one-liner. Really powerful. Then you're going to move on to module 6, which is where you learn how to process time series modules. You're going to learn the basics of forecasting with skTime. You're going to learn how to make an ARIMA forecast function. You're going to learn how to automate ARIMA forecasting for many groups. And then you're going to move on to data visualization. So once you actually make the forecast, you need to be able to visualize it. So we do what's called a deep dive, and I use a secret weapon. I'm an R programmer by heart, and the one thing that Python never had was ggplot2. Well, then this package came along, plot9. Have you guys ever heard about plot9? Put a 1 in chat if you guys have ever heard about it. Have you guys used it before? Put a 1. So Charles Smith, I see. Okay, a few 1s. Everyone uses matplotlib. Plot9 is way more flexible and customizable. It actually is a wrapper for matplotlib, but it allows you to do the grammar of graphics, which is what ggplot2 is famous for. So you learn how to do things like scatter plots, line plots, bar and smoother plots, horizontal bar plots, histograms, density KDE plots, box plots, faceted plots, plot customizations, and you also learn how to make your own custom plotting functions. So this is some of the visualizations that you'll come up with. Very professional, the types of visualizations that you're going to want to put in reports. Okay. Then you learn how to, in module 8, so once we have kind of the analysis done, you need to be able to write to a SQL database your predictions. So this is very common. Once you make a predictive analysis, you need to store that data somewhere. So you're going to have to write your analysis to a SQL database. And then you can pull those predictions and make your final reports. And that's what we do in module 9, which is you're going to learn how to make a Jupyter report template. And a report template is something that has parameterization. So you have parameters in your Jupyter reports that can be adjusted. So you have a template that you can use to make multiple reports. All right. You learn how to automate the data analysis reports, automate HTML and PDF reports. They look like this. And then finally in this course, what you learn how to do is put it on a schedule. And this is really, it sounds pretty, silly, but like, scheduling is one of the most important things you can do. So I teach you the 2 tools that I used to use. So you're going to learn task scheduling. I used to use Windows Task Scheduler if you're a Windows person, and you can automate these reports at any frequency, whether it's daily, weekly, monthly, hourly if you want, by minute if you wanted. And you can do that with the Windows Task Scheduler, or if you're on Mac, you can do it with the Mac Automator. All right. Now, what you need to ask yourself though is for any course, what can this do for you? And this is an example of one of my students. His name's Jeremy, and he says, I've never felt comfortable with Python until now. Your Python course allowed me to gain the confidence in my everyday work. I couldn't have done it this quickly without your courses. Thank you for all your constant support and incredible material. I've been using Python in production for about 4 months, and I was headhunted for a new role. Starting the first week of December, I will be a senior data scientist, a $150,000 position. Okay, so that's just this first course, what you're getting today, Python for Data Science Automation, a $697 value. Now, next you're getting Python for Machine Learning and APIs. Okay, so inside of this course, you're going to discover the skills to complete projects and how to think like a project manager. Here's the project that we're going to cover in Python 2. So we're tackling a $1 million ROI business project. The same type of projects you're going to routinely be faced with when you're working. So you're going to learn how to, or I'm going to show you how to make more money from a company's email list in this course. You're going to receive hands-on insider knowledge of how a real business works. You're going to discover the entire process for completing a project without relying on the IT team to put your project into production. You'll gain all the skills you need to do this A to Z in Python. So it starts with business understanding, and in module 1, we have costing the problem. So this is an advanced course where you're going to learn things like calculating total recurring costs, simulation under best and worst case scenarios, giving your organization a range for how much this is costing and a simulation for how much is costing the company. And then once you have that business understanding done, you're able to move on to the next step, which is actually collecting data from a CRM database that stands for Customer Relationship Management, or an ERP, Enterprise Resource Planning database. And these are the common tables that you will find in that type of environment. And then you're going to learn how to connect that with your business understanding and actually do data understanding. Okay. So for that, we have pandas and SweetViz. So in module 2, for data understanding, you're going to learn how to do a SQL database connection, analyze associations. You're going to make a full exploratory report in 1 line of code. And this is a SweetViz report. This is absolutely fantastic. You're going to gain quick insights. And it's really important when you're working for a company to give them quick wins. So you can see here that this blue line is really important. This is, so for the member rating, this is for an email list. If they're member rating 5, they are a 14% likelihood of making a purchase. But if they're only a 2, they're only a 3% likelihood. So that's basically you're 5x more likely to become a customer if you're a member rating 5. So that organization should focus on increasing that member rating. Okay, so that's a very powerful insight. Same thing from another feature. This one's called tag count. So it's a feature that you'll create, and you can see when tag count is very low, it's virtually 0% of buying anything. But as tag count increases all the way up to 20 tags, that person is over 40% likely to buy a product. Okay, so that's what you have to be able to do to understand the data, and then you can prepare it. And what we do in module 3 is what's called a data pipeline. So you learn how to create date features, text features, rate and interaction features, one-to-many features, and you create more insights. So you basically, from module 2, where we created that SweetViz report, this is like the super SweetViz report, and you get more insights. So you get an expanded exploratory report. One of the additional features we see that if the customer has this, that's a 29x lift. And in marketing speak, that means they're 29x more likely to buy. And that's the type of power. So now you're ready to go into machine learning. Okay. So in the next module, we're going to focus on this package in module 4, machine learning with PyCaret. So PyCaret, how many of you guys have ever heard of PyCaret? Anybody put a 1 in chat if you've heard of PyCaret before? Okay. All right. Put a 0 in chat if you have not heard of PyCaret. Okay. All right. So we're getting a mixed bag here. So PyCaret's really powerful. It's basically scikit-learn, but it does it in in a cleaner and easier to use way, less lines of code. It's a low code solution, and it wraps scikit-learn. So all the models you produce, they're scikit-learn models. So with PyCaret, we're going to make 19 algorithms. You're going to rank each model, and then you're going to tune the best models and get them ready for production. You're going to learn how to pick the right one, how to find the most important features so you have insights using SHAP. And then you're going to also be able to analyze why particular customers are likely to buy or not buy. You're going to be able to rank your customers by purchase probability. This is what we call lead scoring. And then I actually surveyed my students before I made this course or while I was making the course, and I asked them, what other libraries do they want to learn for machine learning? And they said scikit-learn and H2O. So these are scikit-learn. Probably most of you guys have heard of that one. How many of you guys have heard of H2O though? H2O. Put a 1 in chat and put a 0 if you haven't heard of H2O. Okay. All right. So we're getting some zeros. So what the value is here is that in advanced machine learning, what we want to do is we want to really give you insights about how to build scikit-learn models from scratch, so you know what PyCaret's doing, and you can also do it yourself. So we start off with scikit-learn, and it's actually turns out that PyCaret wraps scikit-learn, so it's really good and logical to teach that. So you learn how to create scikit-learn pipelines. You learn how to do grid search, all the common things that you're going to have to do with scikit-learn models. Next, though, is H2O, and this is the one that you guys may not know. And what H2O is a super scalable library. It's written in Java, a high-performance language, and it scales to millions and millions and millions. So What happens in production sometimes is that your models, or it takes forever to run them, to build them, and that hurts your ability to routinely update those models. With H2O, you get a lot more speed and a lot more scalability. Okay. So it also has this really cool thing called AutoML, and which is the secret to making hundreds of models in minutes. You're going to discover how to pick the best ones. And the next step is then ML flow for model logging and experiment logging. So if you are working in a production team where you're all doing experiments, what you want to have is a way to track those experiments. And that's what machine ML flow does for you. So, and it also natively integrates with PyCaret. It has this GUI here where you can actually start to save your models. And each one of these is actually not a model, but it's a run that contains many different models in here. So you can see there's a bunch of models being stored. And it also has the metrics and everything in here. Really powerful, because then you can access specific models. You can know what you did in the past. Also, you can integrate it with H2O, and I show you how to do that in this course. And then you can actually access your leader models from your automated machine learning model from H2O. Once you have all of that infrastructure done, you're now ready to build the return on investment model. Okay, so this is going to tell us whether or not we're going to make money, and also it's going to give us our lead strategy. So in Module 7 ROI, you're going to learn how to create a model that saves $237,000 in monthly sales, and optimized ROI, meaning your best model, if you go with the strategy that's optimal, is $311,000. Now, there is a problem with this, and that's $3.7 million that you're going to save the company, by the way, per year, if you go with that strategy. But there is a problem, because oftentimes companies aren't going to want to do a lead scoring strategy where it impacts sales a lot. So you want to do, there's what's called a 90% balance plan. And I show you how to figure out what that threshold is, the right threshold to pick. But this is kind of picking a threshold that balances and makes sure that you're not losing too many sales in the first couple of months before the strategy like kicks in. So you end up with a balance plan where you're going to save $294,000 in monthly sales. With this strategy, you're going to make $3.6 million in the first year. And once your management says, yes, we want you to do that, then we move on to deployment. So that's where you learn Fast API. Fast API is a super powerful library for building what are called APIs. Have you guys heard of Fast API before? Put a 1 in chat if you've heard of Fast API. Okay. All right. We're seeing a few ones. Any zeros in there? Never heard of it? Yeah, a lot. Okay. Lots of zeros. All right. Fast API. So this is an API. So what an API does is it allows programs like Excel, Tableau, Power BI, whatever program companies use, most of them have a way to connect up with an API. So the advantage is that when you build an API, companies can use the same tools that they always use and just connect up with your API and make a request, run the analysis, and then it spits the results out and it puts that into the Excel file or whatever. It does that with get and post endpoints. So with this, in this module, you learn how to communicate with the API using the request package. So you can actually communicate with APIs through Python as well. And you also learn how to do an important thing called enterprise security. So that's where companies actually want you to make sure not everybody has access to your APIs, because probably got proprietary information back there that they don't want the wrong people accessing. So you learn how to do that. And then you have to have a front end to an API. So I actually show you how to build one with Streamlit. In Module 9, you're going to learn how to do a Streamlit web app. You're going to make that email lead scoring where it has the user can upload files. They can pick an email list that's on their computer and upload the email list. Then you can customize the lead scoring strategy and when you click the run analysis button, that triggers the API to make a request. It returns the results, and then that user can then check the results to make sure that it's not doing anything screwy. And then they can download the lead scoring strategy. And you can see the email lists, the lead score, whether or not they're hot or cold, whether or not they've made a purchase before, and so on. Okay. And just like that, you've now built a production web app system that's going to allow them to automate a very common process. All right. And that's what's really powerful. Once you know this, how to do this, that's the thing that's going to help you. Now, I know what you're saying. There's a lot of steps in here. Won't this take a long time? Well, I've actually included a jumpstart also in this course. So this is the more advanced machine learning and APIs course. You learn in the first 45 minutes of the course, PyCaret basics. You learn how to get a respectable accuracy and set up a basic API in just 45 minutes. Okay. The real question though, guys, what does this course do for you? Well, this is Jonathan Regenstein. He is the financial services data science leader at Snowflake. They're a big database company. He took my course. He says the Jumpstart module is awesome, and I'm already building some cool applications with PyCaret. Incredible what we can do with less than 100 lines of code. Awesome. So what is this course? Well, if you're familiar with my R track, if you've ever heard of that, it's kind of like combining the second course on the more advanced data science for business part 2 course and the Shiny Web Apps part 1 course into one course called Python for Machine Learning and API. All right. So you're getting today Python for data science automation, Python for machine learning APIs, a total value of $1,694. Now, what about data science projects though? So I'm going to give you guys as a bonus today 3 amazing apps to help you stand out. The first application is a financial application where you're going to do what's called loan default scoring. Huge problem for big banks. You use the exact same process that we use for lead scoring for finance, a totally different application. And you learn how to wrap it up into this thing called a Shiny for Python app. So very cool. So you're getting today first 2 courses plus app 1, a loan default scoring as a bonus. And that's a $5,000 app. Really, companies will pay $5,000 or more to get this type of application, $6,694. Now, next is the second app that I'm going to give you, an HR analytics app. So you're going to apply the same exact lead scoring, like the same process, to an employee attrition, which is a completely different human resources challenge. And you're going to learn how to score, and you're going to have a project here where you score employees at the risk of leaving. Okay. So again, you're getting Python, the 2 courses. You're getting as a first bonus app 1, loan default scoring, second bonus app 2, employee attrition scoring. Total value $11,694. Now, the third app is special because you're going to apply PyCaret, and you're going to get a solution, an app that has PyCaret, the same type of process that you've used, but this is a special type of problem. We're now doing a regression with it, and we're actually forecasting the future demand sales. So you can see a Walmart forecasting daily demand app. It's a time series app, very powerful for companies that are interested in demand and sales forecasting. So in these 3 apps, you get over 2,000 lines of code. I have literally all of the data sets, the models that you build, and I have 2 files. One is the analysis, and the second one is the actual app file. So I don't just give you the app file, I'm actually giving you the analysis too that goes of how I built the thing that the app is automating. So today, guys, you're getting Python for data science automation, Python for machine learning APIs, app 1, loan default scoring, app 2, employee attrition scoring, and app 3, my time series forecasting app. Very special, $16,694 value. To reward the fast action takers, though, I'm going to do one extra special thing. You're going to get everything that I listed above, plus you're going to get a one-on-one personal coaching call with me. And why is a coaching call important? Well, let me introduce you to Samantha. She's a student of mine. She used her one-on-one coaching call to get through the 3rd round. That's the most challenging part of the interview, where it's just you and one other student, and it's super high competition. They're at CVS, and she says, I got the job. She was able to wipe the floor with her competition after we met. She followed what I said, and she implemented it, and she got the job. So she's now a data engineer at CVS Health. Okay, guys. Today you're getting Python for data science automation, Python for machine learning APIs, app 1, my loan default scoring, app 2, employee attrition scoring, app 3, time series forecasting. And the first 10 of you that take me up on this offer are going to get a coaching call with me, $997 value. Total value $17,691. And if you're buy this on my website, it would really add up to $17,000. And look, I get it. I realize that may be a lot of money to some people, even though it's worth every single penny. So I'm going to do you guys a super big favor. I'm going to, instead of paying $17,691, I'm going to give you guys all a 95% discount today. So today, guys, you're getting Python for Data Science Automation, my first course. My second course, more advanced, Python for Machine Learning and APIs. You're getting 3 apps, my app 1, loan default scoring, app 2, employee attrition scoring, app 3, time series forecasting. And for 10 people who take me up on this, you're getting a coaching call with me. It's not going to cost you the $17,691. I'm giving it to you today for 95% off. It's yours today for $997. Now, last time I announced a sale like this, sold out on the first day, got a bunch of people who were unhappy because they did not get the coaching call. So if that's important, and for those of you guys who want to become a business scientist, which is my term for what you ascend to as you come through this program and learn how to apply data science to business with Python, are you ready to change your life? Ready on 3, 2, 1. And I'm putting the link in the chat right now, and I am happy to answer any questions that you guys have. So I put the link in the chat, and this is what the checkout process looks like. So as you guys are getting signed up, I wanted to show you what the checkout form looks like. The sale does end on March 23rd at 3 p.m., which is this Saturday. Now, that doesn't mean that the coaching spots will last until then. They usually are gone earlier than that. This is exactly what you're getting in this offer, the first 2 courses, and you're getting the 3 shiny apps. And then for the first 10 of you guys, you're going to get that coaching call with me. All right. So this total value, $17,691. You save a lot of money by enrolling today. And there's 2 different options, though, that you can make purchases. So you put your full name in here, your email address, and then you're going to pick one of these 2 options. The first option they both give you access to the same exact stuff. One's a payment plan, and you're not going to save as much money, but you still save some money, but you get it for $249 a month. But if you do the single payment, which is the $997 option, you're going to save $700 total versus just the 2 courses. Plus, your guys are still getting the 4 bonuses here that I mentioned above. Okay. One other thing. So this is a learning lab. All right. So all the code that you saw today, this is recorded. I put the video presentation in this thing called Learning Labs Pro. All right. If you guys want access to that, as part of this bundle, what you're going to do is you're going to check this, and this gets you 50% off the monthly subscription. This is only available to the single payment. So if you select this and you leave this checked, you're going to get an error at checkout. I'm sorry, but the Learning Labs Pro 50% off is only available for this particular plan. Okay. So it's a benefit of doing the single payment plan. You can get in at $49 a month. All right. If you don't want that, just uncheck it. It goes away. And if you pick this plan, you have to have this unchecked. If you leave this checked and you do the checkout process, you're going to get an error and you're going to wonder why it's not letting you in. It's because you have this checked. You need to uncheck it. All right. Other than that, that's pretty much how the process works. You put your information in here, click the complete the order button. It takes about 1 minute to 2 minutes to process. Then you start getting the emails that welcome you to the course, get you into the Slack channel. I did not mention there is a Slack channel for full support. So let's check the Slack channel out here. So you can see we have 3,365 people who are all in the same path as you, learning data science for business, trying to become elite data scientists and making a lot of progress. And I'm in there as well, answering questions. You can see I'm getting questions right now. And I'm in there to help support you along your path. Okay. The other thing, what does a course look like? So a lot of times people want to know, what am I getting? So when you get here, this is what the inside of the platform looks like. You can see we've got the 2 courses that you're going to get, the 3 Shiny for Python apps. The coaching call, you will get an email, but that won't show up in here. Okay. The Python apps, you can see over here. This is what they look like. So you get the 3 different Shiny for Python apps, 1, 2, 3. And what does a course look like? So let me open up one of the courses. here's what the courses look like. You can see there's tons of lessons in here. We're talking all of these lessons, and that takes you from literally beginner. Each one of these is a full code lesson. So let's just pick on one of these lessons. Let me do the jump start here. PyCaret, make an XGBoost model. Okay. So each one of these videos in here, you can see I'm actually coding in here and you're following along. So you're going to see here as we do, this is the tenfold cross validation and so on. So I'm actually writing the code along with you. You guys are getting pro tips and you guys are seeing exactly what it takes to build these models. Okay. All right. So that's pretty much it. So I'm happy to answer any questions at this moment. I will head over to the webinar chat. Let's see here. What questions do you guys have as you guys are getting in any of the content that you saw today? Anything about the offer that's on the table to help you accelerate your career and how to help you build and take your career to the next level? I honestly, guys, you saw the business analysis today, which is great. But any of you guys, are you having challenges right now learning how to solve business problems? Anybody in here having challenges? Put a 1 in chat if you guys are having any problems with solving business problems. Okay, I see Bruno. Anybody else? Anybody else having any challenges? Be honest. I was with you guys before I started. Yeah, defining ROI. That's a common thing that people need to be able to do, especially data scientists in the business. You know, we all want to do machine learning right off the bat. That's going to be something that is a big challenge. So the solution to solving business problems and how you solve it is you have to have a system. And that process I give you in the second course. So it's this one right here. It's this course right here, the Python for machine learning and APIs. That is how you will solve business problems. Okay. What else? What other questions do you guys have? What can I help you with today in order to decide whether or not the program's right for you or anything related to the MMM analysis? Happy to answer any questions. So Bruno asked, do I teach Shiny for Python in these courses? So the courses I actually teach Streamlit, but the nice thing about Shiny for Python is once you learn Streamlit, moving to a framework, like a web framework like Gradio, there's like 25 different, actually there's like 40 different web frameworks in Python. Moving to and from any of these frameworks like Dash or Shiny for Python or whatever it might be is not that challenging. So I don't actually teach how to build the Shiny for Python apps in the courses. I teach how to build Streamlit apps, but the same types of concepts. And if you get a few Shiny for Python apps, which you get with this program, that you can dissect them and you can learn, you know, how do I make a drop down? Okay, this is what it looks like in Streamlit. This is what it looks like in Shiny for Python. How do I run the analysis? Okay, this is how I do in Streamlit. This is how you know, we automate it with Shiny for Python. Okay, so hopefully that answers your question, Bruno. Good question. Okay, and I wanted to mention too, guys, you guys do get lifetime access to everything that you see here. So if that's a question, that's something I commonly get. There's no prerequisites, meaning you don't need a math background, statistics. You don't need to have tried data science. You know, if you have no experience coding, I teach you all those skills. Esteban asked, do people in industry use more Shiny for Python or Dash? So both of these frameworks, I would say they use more Streamlit than anything because Streamlit apps are very easy to build. But Streamlit apps, when you're making a bigger app, it doesn't really deal as well with multi-page apps. And what Shiny for Python does is it has the advantage of being reactive. Okay, so these apps are what are called reactive. When you click on something and run it, it doesn't rerun everything in the app like Streamlit does. what it does is it only reruns the specific code that that reactive component is attached to. Okay, so in Shiny for Python versus Dash, I would say Dash is more of a framework that is so it handles this. It doesn't use reactivity. It uses this technology called callbacks. Callbacks are not as good, and there's some actual security vulnerabilities with callbacks. So I don't recommend going with Dash. I recommend going with Shiny for Python, which implements true reactive programming. So these apps are Shiny for Python. And that's another reason, I've built apps, and especially in some of the earlier learning labs, I built Dash web apps. It's not my preferred framework. I'd rather see you go with Shiny for Python. Is it possible to only, so this is John, is it possible to only buy one of the courses? So if you want the ML and APIs course, so as part of this offer, they're bundled together. You can purchase the machine learning course. Actually, these numbers are reversed. It should be $997 on this one, $697 on this one. But anyways, the Python for machine learning APIs, you can buy that on my website, but it is $1,000. So you're getting all of this stuff for $1,000 today. So it's better to go with this particular option. Now, John, have you purchased a course before with me? Meaning Python for data science automation or something else? John, have you purchased something? Okay. So yeah, if you're a new customer, then this is the best option for you. So I'll put the link in the chat again. That's the best option to go with. It'll give you everything. You can use this first course if you want it, but you also get all these other bonuses, and you get a coaching call. Waji, are we getting the free cheat sheet? Yep, we will. I will give you the free cheat sheet here in just a few minutes. I just want to make sure I handle any questions that anyone has about the offer or the content. Okay. Yeah, so just hang tight just for another couple minutes while I get these last questions answered. Okay. Bruno asks, with the discount, if I may add. Yeah, no, so if you want one of these courses, the best option is the bundle package. That's the offer that I prepared for you guys. Okay. All right. Let me just make a couple quick checks here. Okay, we just got 2 people signed up, and we got the Learning Labs purchase as well. Okay, so any questions if you're on the fence right now? I want to talk with you to make sure to decide whether or not the program's the right fit for you. So you've kind of seen today how to solve one business problem, but if you want to scale that up and be able to solve any business problem, this is going to teach you the actual tools and strategies that I've used in my consulting engagements, when I worked as a data scientist for business, and I've helped save companies $15 million with lead scoring. It's going to teach you lead scoring. It's going to teach you the same types of skills that I use, the exact same types of skills. So what questions do you have as you guys are deciding, whether or not this is right for you? Is there anything like what's holding you or keeping you on the fence? Just post it up in chat, and I'll be looking at the chat to answer any questions. Okay. Does anybody have any questions? Anyone who's on the fence? I'd like to focus in on you. All right, going once. Any questions going once? Somebody has to have a question. I guarantee if you have a question, somebody else does. So somebody else is probably thinking it. Okay. All right, going once. Twice. All right, we're going to wrap this up then. So I'll give you guys the free cheat sheet. I'm going to post this into the chat. And I just put the cheat sheet in there. So you guys can download it. Make sure you click that link to download it. And here is the cheat sheet. Here's how it works. You have on the first page the 80/20 tools. And this is the same type of tools that I cover in the Python course in depth. So this is the basic stuff. You're going to learn, you learn how to import data, tidy it, transform it. If you click these links, it'll go to the documentation. If you click a CS, these CSs go to cheat sheets. So those are extra cheat sheets that people have produced on Plotly and so on. The second page, though, this is probably the most valuable. This is where the special topics are. So things like time series forecasting, exploratory data analysis, web, apps and APIs. This is all the documentation again. And this is what will help you learn more about these softwares. And if you want to go deeper, as always, there's the program. So I'm going to put the link in the chat one more time. So let me throw that in right here. I'll just copy that. So if you want to go deeper, if you want to learn data science for business, if you want to actually learn how to solve business problems, virtually any business problem, you're going to be able to solve it with the techniques and strategies you learn. Remember, guys, this offer ends on Saturday, and that's 2 days from now. And again, after that, this offer is off the table. You're going to lose the 3 apps. You're going to lose the coaching call, and you're going to be forced to pay the full price for these courses if you want them. So it's really a steal. $9.97 for all of this content. It's a steal. Put the link in the chat. Bruno asks, at Jasmine, Matt also has R courses and webinars about R. Yes, I do have an R program. Unfortunately, that's not the offer today, Jasmine. But I do, my background's in R. Even though I've been coding in Python for about 5 years, I've been building software in both Python and R for about 15 years now. And I do have a full R track program as well, but that's not part of this offer because this whole presentation has been about Python. I figured you guys probably want Python. So, all right. Any other questions? If you purchase these courses, is there a limited time to use them? No, actually, you can use them whenever you want. You get what's called lifetime access, John. So John asks, if you purchase these courses, do you get lifetime access or is there a limited time? So you get lifetime access to both the courses. You get lifetime access to the Shiny apps. Any changes I make to any of this stuff, you automatically get the upgrades. The coaching call, you can use that whenever you want. It never expires. You can use it next week. You can use it a month from now. You can use it a year from now. So you can strategically use it when you're in a pivotal part of your career where you either want to get to that next level with your job, and I can coach you on how to do that. So you're going for a senior data science position. I can coach you how to do that. Ricardo asks, when purchasing monthly or lifetime membership, do we have access to the code or just the 1 hour video? Oh, on Learning Labs Pro, no. So you actually get access to all of the videos. So what Learning Labs Pro looks like is this. Learning Labs, yeah, that's this thing right here. So you get access to all. So this is Lab 92. So Lab 93, which is this one, that'll be up tomorrow. It usually takes me about 24 hours to edit the video and get it up and running. So you get the full lesson here, table of contents. You get all of the code, you get the slides, and you get that for every video. So right now we're doing marketing analytics with R and Python. This one's Lab 92, customer lifetime value forecasting with, this is in R. So if you see how there's R here, then this one is in Python, customer lifetime value, beginner to advanced. This one's in Python, causal machine learning. This one's in R, causal inference and A/B testing. And so on. So you see there's lots of Python, lots of R content, and lots of different techniques too. So I try to do different techniques with each of them as well. But yes, you do get the video and you get the you can download the code. Okay. Any other questions about anything that you saw today? Happy to help. I can take another minute or so if you guys have any questions. I know there's still about 73 people on the call today. Did you guys have a good time today? I mean, did you guys like the, Ricardo asked, which one would you recommend if I'm only learning the business application? Oh, that's a good question. So if you need to learn how to solve business problems with data science, meaning like any business problem you're ever going to be faced with, That's what the programs are designed to do. They give you tools and strategies that I call them 80-20 tools. It's the 20% of tools that I use like 80 to 90% of the time. All right. So that's why I recommend this if you really want to like go deep and learn how to do this stuff in the way that I solve business problems, like the one that you saw today. If you really want to learn how I approach every single data science problem, then I recommend this program. Now, if you want specific case studies of different problems, then that's where Learning Labs Pro comes in. These are more advanced problems, which may sound good, but I don't teach the problem-solving process. I just show you how to solve that particular problem. So for example, like marketing analytics for customer lifetime value, I show you how to solve customer lifetime value. But if you're going to be faced with different problems, this will be good if that's covered, which I do cover 93 different labs. And there's a lot of good stuff in here like geospatial, Bayesian, text analysis, NLP. But if you really want to learn like the tools and strategies and level up how to build web applications and production systems, then that's what this program's for. Okay. So does that help, Ricardo? And you can get both too. If you do this with this, you get both. That's the best of both worlds. So you can get the advanced stuff and you can get the problem solving, like the actual data science process. Okay. All right, cool. All right. I feel like I've solved some. So did you guys have fun today? Did you guys learn a lot from Thomas and Alex and those guys? Give me a thumbs up. All right. Cynthia says yes. Good. Good. We've succeeded. We have succeeded. All right, guys. Well, we will wrap things up here. I really appreciate all you guys spending the time. Thank you for hanging in there. Thank you for really being such a good audience today, and being and also I appreciate you guys listening to me and learning about some of the products that I offer. This without running a business, I wouldn't be able to do these types of things. So I really appreciate it, and thank you a lot for your time. All right, guys. I will wrap up with you guys here. I put the link in the chat if you guys are interested in that program. Feel free to email me too if you guys have any questions about anything that you saw today. I'll put my email in the chat as well. There, I threw my email in there as well. So thank you so much, guys. I will see you soon. Next week, we're doing ChatGPT for data scientists. So stay tuned for that one if you're interested in ChatGPT. All right. See you guys. Bye-bye.